The majority of today's Dallas Cowboys report is going to be focused on the top free agents before the NFL draft the Cowboys could still go out and sign. We'll also spend some time on Deebo Samuel because, well, that's the number one NFL story. How can we not? Before we break down my list and talk about a potential unlikely Deebo trade, I want you guys to name a free agent in the comments who you want to sign. You're watching the Dallas Cowboys Report by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey, and we're going to begin today with some conversation on one Deebo Samuel with the shocking, major, massive NFL news that Deebo has requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers, that apparently it's not the money. He just didn't like his usage, which was a little weird. Like, want the ball less. I think he just wants to be a receiver, not a back. Big note here, and we'll go more in depth. A trade, hypothetical for the Cowboys, would be costly in both picks and the contract given to Deebo Samuel. I think the rough trade value is similar to what we've done with A.J. Brown in the past. We've had that conversation. First and a second, if not a little bit more, and that requires the Niners to say, yes, we're going to trade him. For the Cowboys to win a bidding war, since they would probably prefer to send him out of the NFC altogether. And oh, by the way, Deebo wants to be the highest paid non-QB, which is really just the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. So what would need to happen here, my friends, is the Cowboys would give away their premium draft assets and pay Deebo Samuel a record-setting contract, or at least close to it. So first up, would you guys go do that? Y for yes in the comments section, N for no. Would you give Deebo the bag, a massive one, and give up all those assets? Sound off for me in the comments, but remember, Catboy would never. Stephen Jones ain't going to do that. I would be shocked, in a happy way, of course. I would love to get Deebo on this team if the Cowboys paid all of that stuff to go out and acquire Deebo. So I wanted to hit it on today's show, but I have very low, basically zero expectations or hopes that the Cowboys would actually be involved. Let's hit now our previously planned video. That is the top free agent targets before the 2022 NFL Draft. I got 20 names we're going to hit, plus the 5 big ones that it's not going to happen, right? Come on, these are the top guys out there who are a bit too expensive, or maybe don't feel the need the way you want it to. Jadeveon Clowney at edge. I haven't shown interest before. Odell Beckham, I would have interest in if it wasn't both him and injury problems in the past for Michael Gallup. That is a bit of a red flag from that standpoint here. Tyrann Mathieu, a Honey Badger, yes, of course, that'd be fun, but the Catboy has not had interest in the past in any capacity. Rob Gronkowski, I think, is Tampa or bust, and I don't think Julio Jones is that guy anymore. So we're going to look position by position here, beginning with the offensive line. That is, you're good at tackle-ish, maybe a swing tackle is the spot you're looking for at this stage, and guard, and I think center. The O-line is definitely an area of focal point for this team. We begin with J.C. Tretter, who I would love to add. I will make note that Brian Broaddus has mentioned there's some injury stuff that Tretter wasn't practicing that much for the Browns, but he still played really well, and he was not missing games. So I'm not at that level of concern, but maybe that's why he's still surprisingly unsigned at this point. A lot more names coming up, of course, but what do you think is the biggest need right now for the Dallas Cowboys? Is it guard, which we'll get to in a second, center, defense, something else altogether? Let me know in the comments right now. Let's hit guard then. Free agent targets. 3 names that I'm most intrigued by: Ereck Flowers, formerly of the Commanders, Trai Turner, and Quinton Spain. Now, all 3 have their issues. Their numbers aren't that different. I would almost argue these are all per PFF, by the way. Maybe Quinton Spain was the best one of that grouping there. Again, it's PFF, so you put asterisks if we need to. Don't worry about that. I know that a lot of people have asked about Trai Turner, and I get it. He's been a right guard, though, in the NFL. So I do worry about the position switch as all 3 guys begin to age and are maybe more low-end starters than they are top-end starters, but keep an eye on that one. I would have interest in Flowers in Spain, or Turner if you think he can play left guard, because you got nothing there right now since they don't trust Connor McGovern. Let's go to defense. How about another edge rusher? The Cowboys keep saying, we're looking for more edge help. We're looking for more edge help. They might draft somebody. If that happens or doesn't happen, look at other players. The one name we know has been linked to them is Jason Pierre-Paul. They've shown some semblance of interest on that front, although I wonder if he's really the guy that the name recognition comes along with. Melvin Ingram should be cheap, and how about a guy with Dan Quinn connections? That's Tack McKinley, who the Cowboys also liked quite a bit coming out of UCLA. The issue is, and this is what happens when you're in mid to late April, the free agent crop is not normally very good. There's not many sacks between all three of these guys. That is a bit of a issue, I think, if you're trying to add a player. I think they'll wait till after the draft to see if they take somebody. If not, I would not be opposed to adding either of these three veterans, assuming, of course, it is a cheap deal, which I like cheap deals. You just can't only do cheap deals in free agency. If you haven't already, go sign up with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys125. $100 down. That's going to get you an extra 125% deposit bonus. There are a massive amount of prop bets out there on BetUS for the NFL draft, including the odds for the position the Cowboys' first pick is. Offensive line is plus 175. Defensive back is plus 200. Overreaction to the Kelvin Joseph story? Maybe. Wide receiver plus 275. Defensive line is plus 500. And linebackers way down there plus 1,400. I think the Cowboys are going to go guard or receiver in round one. So what I have done is I've put some money, the same amount, on both O-line and receiver as the first pick. And if one of those two happens, I'm guaranteed to turn a profit. If you want to join me, do it with BetUS. Promo code Cowboys125 at chatsports.com/bet. Speaking of receiver, this is still a thin group. Gallup, I think, will miss some time to begin the year. James Washington is not a very proven player, despite many of us liking him coming out of the NFL draft. And God forbid if Lamb gets hurt, legitimately, as it sits right now, your number one receiver for week one would probably be James Washington, and that leaves Noah Brown, Fayoko, Vasher. That's not enough. So some names, veteran ones to monitor. About Will Fuller, who is tantalizing with the speed and the vertical that isn't really on this roster. Gallup can win downfield, but he's not a burner like Fuller is. The issue is, well, he has trouble staying on the football field. That is a bit of a red flag, but he should be cheap. I've long loved Emmanuel Sanders, who I think has been one of the more underrated receivers in the NFL. So, yeah, I'm going to put him on here. He can still help you as a veteran option. The decline is beginning to set in, but if you're looking for a guy I think can play some slot for you, Sanders is a good name to keep an eye out for. And I did want to mention T.Y. Hilton. As we've broken down here previously on the channel, he was linked to Dallas. Pat McAfee said it, but he said allegedly, which means he was citing a different report, and the issue was the report was all speculation, so a little bit of a oopsie moment there. They haven't actually done much work on Hilton. Age is beginning to impact him, but I did want to mention him here. We're going to be doing this moving forward. The random question of the day. No ulterior motive with this one here. What is your go-to snack? Sound off. You know what? Actually, light up the comment section for me with what your go-to snack is. Let's talk linebackers now here. Micah Parsons is linebacker one. They brought back Leighton Vander Esch. They want to use Jabril Cox in the Keanu Neal role. But beyond that, even if you do play a lot of Jaron Kearse at linebacker, which we'll put up there, by the way, that's not a great grouping. There are two notable-ish names that I think have some ties to this organization. Anthony Barr, who the longer this goes makes it feel like he's not going to find a big deal and a big starting opportunity, so that is significant. He also knows George Edwards very well from their time together in Minnesota. Would he want to be a backup? Would he compete with Leighton Vander Esch? I think so, but he's also not the guy he was at his best. Injuries have begun to add up for Anthony Barr. How about a former Cowboys legend, Anthony Hitchens, last with the Chiefs? I think is a depth backup piece at this point, but that's kind of what I'm targeting. I don't think outside of maybe guard, you're going to find an instant impact starter at this stage for what the Cowboys are willing to spend in free agency. If the Cowboys do make a move, you guys know that we'll break it down here. And I want to be able to double up the Washington Commanders YouTube channel, but we need your help. If you want free videos every single day, and at this point, it's really multiple times a day, or it's like 8 or 9 videos a week at this rate, if not more, then subscribe. I promise you that no one will have more NFL draft coverage on the Cowboys than we will here with the draft barely a week away. So hit that big red button and subscribe right now. I do want to mention corner, especially with the, I'll just call it uncertain future, involving Kelvin Joseph, because I don't know if he's going to be a part of this Cowboys organization moving forward. It's very dicey from that standpoint. So maybe you do look for a veteran. 2 names I think kind of sort of fit the Dan Quinn mold to an extent, who've been somewhat linked before. Kevin King is coming off another bad year with Green Bay. I don't think he's that good. Although, and I'll make this point, we saw Jordan Lewis, Anthony Brown, and Trayvon Diggs all take either substantial or massive steps forward in their first year under Dan Quinn. So maybe there could be a rehab project with Kevin King in Dallas. Kyle Fuller played more than King did, and I know we spent a lot of time around him last year with uncertainty at the cornerback spot, but he also wasn't that great. He got beat a lot for what he was playing. I wonder if, and sometimes I think that once a corner loses it, it doesn't come back. I'm worried that's the concern for Fuller. Sometimes I'm wrong. I mean, I thought Terrence Newman was cooked, and he played felt like a decade. So maybe Fuller does bounce back, but I'm worried it's never going to be what it was. Defensive tackle now. You got bodies, right? Gallimore, Osa, Watkins, Hill. I'm looking for some run-stopping help. So 2 names I'll mention. First up, Eddie Goldman. Now, this fits the fatties only mold, which I don't ever want to let die fully, although it was a disaster in 2020, and I take the blame for that one. Goldman is not what he was in his prime, but I think as a run clogger, he could fit that mold. I just wonder if he's this year's Damon Snacks Harrison. And then a big name who I might be pushing it, putting him on here, Ndamukong Suh. Even though he's super old, he remains incredibly impactful. I also don't know just how much he would end up costing. When it comes to free agency, this is Stephen Jones' ship. He is heavily involved and is really taking on more power than Jerry Jones does anymore. So what is your confidence level in Stephen Jones? Scale it for me 0 to 100. And finally, we will end on the offensive line, just like the way we began today's show. Darrell Williams, Bobby Massey, Dennis Kelly, Riley Reef. I grouped these all together, not because they'll start over Terrence Steele, but I would like a veteran swing. And I think these guys could be in the swing stage of their NFL careers. Darrell Williams played at guard and tackle, so I kind of like the positional flex there, but on the right side. Massey was a starter at right tackle for Denver. He's one of the better ones on this list, at least number 2, if not number 1. Dennis Kelly is a swing tackle. Didn't play that much. That's why his numbers look better in terms of sacks and pressures. He could fill that mold. Riley Reef has played on both sides of the offensive line coming off injury, but I think as far as veteran swings go, as long as he's okay doing that, some tackles aren't, they just end up retiring. Reef's a good one to keep an eye out for. So if you haven't already, gone to the pinned comment and let me know. Do it right now before we sign off. Name a free agent who you want the Dallas Cowboys to go sign.